For the embroidery, you'll need needles, white embroidery floss or Sashiko thread, your pattern, I found a free one I liked online, and your fabric. I'm using 100% cotton navy fabric, but indigo dyed fabric is more traditional. The first step is to transfer your design. This can be done a few ways, and the method I went with was to print the pattern on water-soluble stabilizer and add it to the fabric. I don't actually recommend this method, and I'll explain why a little later on, but it was the only way I had of transferring a pattern onto dark fabric at the time. Next time I'm going to use a white chalk or a wax pencil to trace the pattern onto the fabric. I'm using a normal needle because I don't have one specifically for Sashiko, and it worked just fine. I'm also using embroidery floss because I don't have Sashiko thread yet. The main difference is that embroidery floss can be separated, but Sashiko thread cannot. To begin the embroidery, I take my needle and thread and bring it up from the back side of the fabric on the lower right corner. I'm going to be starting with the horizontal stitches and using the dark lines on my pattern to tell me when to go over the fabric and the faint lines to tell me when to go under the fabric. Sashiko is all done with a running stitch, so I'm going to carefully load my needle with as many stitches as I can before pulling the floss through. Something that I noticed while working on this project was that the stabilizer caused some issues with pulling the thread through the fabric because of the adhesive on the bottom. While it still worked pretty well, I did struggle quite a lot at certain points because the needle got stuck. This is how it looks with all the horizontal stitches in. Next, I'm going to start the vertical stitches. I'm going in and following the exact same process as before. I load my needle with running stitches, making sure to go over the fabric when I see the dark lines and under the fabric when I see the faint lines. At this point, the pattern is really starting to show. Because I used a stabilizer, it became kind of painful to keep pulling the needle through, so I started using some pliers and it really sped up the process. This is the finished embroidery. I really love how it turned out. Overall, it took about 6 hours to complete, but that was with the stabilizer slowing me down a bit. This is how the back turned out. Instead of knotting the ends of the thread like I normally do with my embroideries, I wove the excess thread through the rest of my other stitches on the back. The next step is to wash off the stabilizer. I usually do this in warm or hot water and gently rub it out of the stitches. With the embroidery finished, it's time to turn this into a face mask. make the mask, you'll need your finished embroidery, a piece of fabric for the inside of the mask, face mask wire, elastic, and a sewing machine. I cut out both of my fabric pieces according to the pattern I'm using. The link to this pattern and tutorial will be in my description. You can use any pattern that you like, just make sure you embroider your fabric in accordance to the shape of the pattern you're using. Make sure to place your embroidery face down on the unembroidered piece of fabric. The back of the embroidery will be face up. Then, clip the two pieces of fabric together and sew along the edge, making sure to leave the bottom part open. Next, flip the fabric inside out. I take my nose wire and place it inside of the mask centered at the top. My wire has an adhesive on the back so it'll stay in place while I sew. I'm going to carefully sew along the top edge of the mask to secure the wire. I decided to use black thread because it doesn't stand out too much against the white embroidery floss. Next, fold in the bottom edge and clip it closed. Starting from the upper left corner, sew along the edge to seal the mask. Fold the bottom of the fabric up and clip it into place. Do the same with the top. Cut your elastic straps to size and clip them into place. Sew the elastic into place along the edges of the mask. Next, sew along the upper and bottom edges as well. The last step is to fold in the sides and clip them into place to be sewn.